Welcome to Blockbuster Bums. Kick back your recliner, crack open a beer, and let's talk movies. And today we're here to talk about Moonraker, the 11th installment in the Bond series, taking place in 1979. So the last Bond movie in the 70s. Roger Moore returns as Bond. He will be back again in the 80s. But yes, Moonraker, another movie where we will enter space. So, Justin, would you like to give us a synopsis?
All right, this one blasts Bond all over the place. From Venice, Rio de Janeiro, and as Alex mentioned, outer space. Um, Bond is investigating the hijacking of American space shuttle, aptly named the Moonraker. He and the beautiful uh, Holly Goodhead, uh,
Doctor.
Doctor, you're right,
Yes.
Doctor Holly Goodhead,
Dr. Good.
are
Yeah.
soon locked in a life and death struggle against Hugo Drax, a power mad industrialist whose horrific scheme may destroy all human life on Earth.
Sounds serious.
It is very serious. So, speaking of serious, Barry, what did you think of the movie as your first time watching?
Seriously. This, I think it's probably fair to say, is the Bond movie that receives the most ridicule. I would venture to say that's true.
This or Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Yeah.
They're pretty good punching bags.
Yeah. I'll say, however, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I enjoyed it quite a lot, actually. I thought that parts of it, there were some odd choices made with the score or the tone, that kind of undercut the quality of the movie. But by and large, it was utterly enjoyable. I liked it.
All right. Tom, what are your thoughts rewatching this movie?
Rewatching it, I didn't hate it as much as I used to. Mainly because it I think the reason why I hated it so much in the past is because there's so much comedy that's inserted into this.
Unfortunately, you're right.
And then it almost like it's almost like you're trying to make a Leslie Nielsen movie serious is what I kind of thought. To where I was like, all right, am I watching, are you trying to do a Naked Gun spinoff, or what are we doing here with it? Like it's I like there was just a lot of comedy that I think took away from the seriousness that a lot of the past movies we've seen have. And I think that's the criticism people are seeing, but they're not saying. Is they just oh, it sucks. Well, can you tell me why it sucks? And they're like, well, it just does. But like, it's not a fucking answer. Like, it's like explain it. But I think it's because throughout the movie, like, yeah, there's questionable choices here and there, but I think it lands as like they tried to do like a lot of humor in it, and they and it works with some characters with like turnarounds and all. But for the totality of the movie, I think that's why. But like I said, I didn't hate it, and I might rewatch it someday, but I'm not gonna seek it out. Like,
Fair. Justin?
I was surprised this go around of me watching it. I remember uh, watching it, younger, as a kid. I kind of thought it was really stupid as a kid. I didn't like it. I mean, there was too, that, the comedy, like you were talking about, this whole zany, and it wasn't, it didn't feel like James Bond. And that's as a kid. I didn't feel like that was a James Bond movie.
yeah,
But then watching it now, I can appreciate it just a little bit more. Still, the comedy throws me off. But the the actual plot, it it was actually a more put together plot than a lot of the other films, which was weird. It just was, to me. It was a little too. It was just too silly, too off the wall. Um, but as an adult, it's watchable. It's more watchable than it was for me as a kid.
Ray?
I didn't hate it as much as I used to,
same.
but there's like things in there that we'll get into later, like two different character arcs against two different characters, like parallel with each other, and one really didn't need a character arc because it's not his movie, which is really weird to me. But I'll just leave it there and we get into the rest later.
I think it seems to be a common theme in this, but I liked it more than I remembered liking it. I don't think it's a great movie by any means, but I did like it more than I remembered. Um, I agree with Barry. The music, the score, whatever, was not up to snuff for the second movie in a row. So I was, not impressed with that whatsoever. But I did have some issues with it, and I'm sure we'll discuss some of those issues coming up.
Easily. Like, let's start with the opening sequence and everything.
All right.
Bro, it's because what, like, first off, like, we're on the plane and everything, and it's like, oh, we're gonna go ahead and blow up the cockpit and everything. Bond doesn't have a parachute and whatnot, and then out of nowhere, like after he tosses one of the bad guys out the plane, Jaws just comes back out of nowhere and all that. And then he dives in after him and all. So now there's this like free fall with like Bond not having a parachute. And what didn't you say that like they like films that or like that was like a real stunt that they did?
Yeah, they filmed them sky jumping
Yeah,
or
so
skydiving.
old boy
Sorry.
jumped out of a plane without a parachute like Travis fucking Pastrana and everything. Like it just like free flew and everything with it. But then Jaws' parachute doesn't open, and he like the first thing you know it's going to be comedy and everything. He goes through like a random circus tent
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
after he swam in the air toward it and all.
But they make it seem like he was saved by the trapeze net.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
because that's when
Yeah.
they went to the whole
Yeah, that's
the
why-
music score.
Yeah.
And that's why they showed it inside. Otherwise, there's no point to show the inside shot of the circus tent. But
There's no way you're falling from thousands of feet.
oh
to
no,
a
it was
trapeze net.
yeah,
You're
7-2.
just gonna
Like
be saved by
you've
it.
hit terminal velocity. You're going right through.
No,
that
you hit
thing.
terminal velocity thousands of feet ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then nothing left but those teeth. Like that's the only thing that's gonna be left. Like
Yeah, I'm with Tom. They clearly made a decision when producing this film that they were
Different director.
going to put the comedy aspect into it. Now, the comedy, at times, I question whether it's even comedy. Not all of it was funny. of
was it
course.
meant to be?
Yeah, and it disappointed me in the beginning of this movie because the setup was great. You know, the taking of the Moonraker shuttle, the explosion it caused of the plane that was, carrying
That
it
yeah, that was a
ultimately.
cool shot.
And then
like the thrusters destroying.
Yeah,
them
and
all.
the fight with Bond on the plane that led to the parachuting and so forth. That was all awesome. I thought that was great. But then they ruined it.
yeah.
I'm sorry, they
it's-
just ruined it by having Jaws do the stupid pratfall thing through the circus tent.
Yeah.
They could have kept Jaws alive in another way.
I said this to Barry earlier today. We were kind of discussing Moonraker. I think what made me mad more than anything, more than just the comedy itself, was that most of the comedy seems to be centered around Jaws, a character I do like so much,
yeah.
which bothered me.
Like, he became a caricature of the
Yeah,
last
they
movie.
goof
Yeah.
Jaws up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goof him up, make him goof.
Here's something I'll throw at you. He kind of reminds me as what's that in the Goonies? What's that dude's name?
Sloth?
Yeah, Sloth.
I mean,
Like he starts off evil,
Yeah,
and then
you're right.
and then he's just like,
I don't think
Mm,
Sloth was
you know,
never evil.
just-
He was a
yeah, he
victim.
kind of was.
here's
He was
to
a
us.
victim. Like the poor
Here's-
guy was just being
here's
held
to
hostage
us.
by his family, basically.
Here's the one with regard to Jaws. The one, perhaps, reason that they took this route with him was because they had to pull off a babyface turn. And it would be hard to pull off a babyface turn with Jaws if he was just this cold-blooded, face-munching murderer, and that's all you knew of him.
Up until that point, that is all.
Yeah. So they had to lighten him a little bit to make that turn.
Maybe, but I also look at it like this. Like, okay, I mean, since we're pretty much already talking about it, I mean, obviously at the end, Jaws ends up fighting with Bond instead of trying to kill Bond. But I don't think Jaws is a good guy. Jaws just knows he's going to die if he doesn't fight with Bond.
Yeah, it was he's like a almost anti-hero type of deal. Like he still does what he does, but
Yeah.
this is survival. It's just survival.
I think Gray's pointing out to Sloth in the Goonies actually makes a lot of sense because he started to become a sympathetic figure. at
Yeah.
a certain point.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what-
because
yeah.
they had him
It's-
find love. And
Yeah.
So the
wanna
little blonde
save
is his
her.
That
hero.
scene right there made me mad
Is that
too.
it?
I hated that. I hated that scene so much when
Well, off the ski lift.
after the ski lift, he's crashed into that building and he's there with like that wheel around his head and the girl pushes the wheel off. They look at each other and they play that very iconic I'm falling in love music and they look at each other, hold hands and skip away.
Yeah.
And I was like, no,
No, Jaws.
absolutely positively not.
Picks that bitch up and he bites her.
Like Jaws is
That's what it is.
Jaws is a character from a horror movie. Like Jaws is not the I'm skipping through the tulips holding hands with a, by the way, hot chick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't remember her face. I remember her boobs. I'm not gonna, and it's because they did that on purpose. They wanted.
You know what? You know who she reminded me of? She reminded me of Bernadette from
Yeah.
Big Bang
I was
Theory.
gonna say,
Oh yeah.
With the
Like-
braids in her hair, with the glasses,
Yep.
cleavage always hanging
Just
out.
like-
Yeah.
Annoying voice,
But I
but man,
do
she
like
had
how
a
we
rack.
got a Jaws view of her at first, though. to where it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like,
Yeah, you
if
just-
I'm seeing what Jaws is seeing, I'm like, yeah, I got better things to do. Bond will, I'll see Bond again.
Yeah,
like, just
I
like,
legitimately
yeah,
don't
like,
remember whether her face was.
Oh,
Okay,
it
no.
was.
Yeah, she's cute.
It's passable.
It
Yeah,
was
she was a good
always-
looking.
always-
I was waiting for her when she was like first smile. She's gonna smile with braces. That was what the first thing I thought. I was like gonna be
braces
some,
or
yeah.
no teeth,
And then
or
nothing. I was like,
little
no, this
mini
is just
jaws.
this is just appearing like a normal chick. Like, I was
You're
like,
like me.
yeah, I was like, now you gotta be like, there's gotta be some weird like mental like kink or whatever like with the metal thing.
for you to-
Like,
Something wrong with
For
her.
you to fall in love with this essentially monster,
you see the damn thing
And-
crash. Who runs toward that?
right?
Like that's another thing. And then you're like unhumanly strong to where you can move that cog and all. Like,
Yeah, he was struggling, and she
Yeah,
just goes over there
like-
and yeah.
meanwhile, he just bit through the cable and everything that's holding the cars up and all that. Like,
Well, let's talk about that scene for a minute. Since we're dancing around
I guess they have Bond
the
there,
cable
too.
car,
Like-
the cable car scene. So Bond and Goodhead are in a cable car riding down the mountain after they were kind of spying on Drax, who is the
Not the
villain
Destroyer.
in this movie. I don't know if we've mentioned that so far.
randomly, the bald guy that died in the last movie is like now operating the car. Like, yeah.
Was it the same guy?
Yeah,
because this
because I-
guy's face was like
Yeah,
deformed.
his face looked
They do
different.
that
Now,
in
it
Bond
was
movies, so-
it was the same guy. Like,
I'll buy it.
yeah.
So then the like Tom mentioned, Jaws stops the wheel and then bites the cable and then gets on a actually then
No, he
hand
cheated.
over hand
Yeah, he
goes down the cable to a different car and then his bald-headed buddy controls the cable car and shoots it down so they're next to each other. Then here we go. This is one of the things that pisses me off is one of the worst cuts in the history of movies. They showed Jaws when he goes to jump over from car to car. He goes like this,
He goes straight
and then all of a sudden
There's no
he's just
lift.
flying through the air, and it's like it's the worst cut scene ever. Like it's so
He
ridiculous.
gets no lift in that.
Yeah.
No, it was very clear he did not jump.
No,
He didn't even take a running start.
he was like, yeah. And all of a sudden, woohoo!
I was
Oh,
honestly
yeah.
half-ass expecting him
Super
just to
Mario.
like step. Like, I was like, I wonder if he's just gonna step over nonchalant and all.
I mean, that
But
would have been better if they would
yeah,
just
oh,
start
it would-
maybe
oh,
do
it
like a
would-
giant
it
step.
would have been so
maybe a little
badass.
hop at the end just to
Yeah.
kind of get
just
him
kind
the
of
rest
like,
of the way.
all right, now it's fun.
Or if you could have showed his super strength where he like started rocking the cart and like the cart rocked real close and he just stepped over. You know,
that,
something
or
like
he
that.
Stepped over, or
Yeah,
even
like-
grabbed the cart once he got close enough and held
Mhm.
it as he got to the next one.
But yeah, that was a bad cutscene and all that.
Well, and there was another goofy part of it when he was stopping the wheel. He would walk away and it would start turning. Then he
Yeah.
turns and looks at it and it would stop.
Yeah, he did
And I
it
was
twice.
Like, that's annoying.
Like, well, but I think that was supposed to be comedy there,
Yeah,
to where
no,
like
I hated it.
to where like he's almost like intimidating an
It's like-
inanimate object, to where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
like
that-
I cut that cable.
He's
Don't
already
move.
an
Like,
intimidating character himself. He doesn't need to do shit like that.
Yeah, maybe some of the comedy, maybe, and I've never been a fan of British comedy. Maybe some of it's in that vein.
I love it. That was a reference too. Drax even said that when they walked in with the gas masks. He's like, "I'll never understand
Oh,
your
yeah,
British
you're
sense of
right.
humor and all that."
You're absolutely right.
So I like that
Um,
was even great. It's like just so dry. Like,
And I guess the focus on the comedy and what they did with Jaws, and given that this was a kind of an answer to Star Wars, was this geared more toward kids? And that's peculiar if it was, which it seems like maybe it was, because you guys, a couple of you said that you disliked it more when you were kids than you do
Yeah.
now as adults.
It was
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
PG, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bond
Yeah, I was
still
gonna
PG.
say,
It's
like, I'm
PG.
pretty sure it was still PG at
It
the
doesn't go
time. So
13
it's
until Timothy
And
Dalton.
even the women in this movie weren't quite as out there, if you know what I mean, sexually and so forth.
That's what he kind of gets down pretty frequently, it seems.
He has. I mean, he has the same body count as the
But
last
in their
movie.
dress
same-
and so forth,
yeah,
their
they're not-
presentation.
it
Oh,
wasn't like,
well,
you know, the
Goodhead
previous
is
one.
fully dressed throughout the
Right.
whole movie.
yeah.
Um,
she does not hit a bikini.
The-
There's no
there's-
bikini in this one. For
It's
her.
not as there's not as much sensuality or sexuality. There's
Yeah.
attractive women, but it's not as
Right.
Well, to
Until
also
he
to
gets to
touch on
Drax's
what
Island.
or to elaborate on what Barry just mentioned, and to answer Tom's question that he's asked today. So, if you've been watching the movies, the last week's movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, if you watch it at the end before the credits roll, it says Bond will return and for your eyes only,
Yeah, this bothered me.
which all the movies say that because that's what was happening. Like it even rolled in theaters that way. It was supposed to happen that way, but the year after The Spy Who Loved Me came out, Star Wars came out. So they changed the order of the movies to try to capitalize on the Star Wars thing and made Moonraker in response.
So once
You like
again,
space?
reflecting
Let's
pop
give 'em
culture.
Yes.
Like, so that's what it was and all that. I mean,
And then For Your Eyes Only is our next movie for next week.
that makes sense, I guess. But I mean, yeah, but it definitely didn't land like Star Wars did. Like
No,
like
no.
that is kind of a cringe fight sequence in space and
So
all.
did,
Like
did Fleming make a Moonraker book?
Yes, but it's nothing like this.
I would-
Completely different. The opening scene of the book is a bridge game. Actually, it's M and Drax and other guys playing bridge together.
sounds exciting.
And M references playing bridge. With
He
Drax.
does. M says that in the movie that I play bridge with Drax, but he calls Bond there because he thinks Drax is cheating and he wants Bond to catch him.
that's great.
This is a misappropriation.
I don't know. I think this may be what British people use that MI6 for and all that. Like, hey,
That's-
somebody's
yeah, that's
cheating at
Bond's
one of
real
our
job.
games. Yeah, like we can't have this. Like,
But yeah, they completely changed the book. I mean, it was almost a complete rewrite.
oh, I believe it. Yeah, like I said, you can even just see it. Like, it doesn't seem like anything that like that writer would put on pen and paper and all. So, like I said, even just the layered comedy within it and all, I can't imagine. Like, let alone like. I can't even imagine the plot being the same, really. Even. So yeah, it's even because the whole plot is like that Drax is gonna try to eliminate all humans and all, and he's gonna do it because he found this orchid in the Amazon that like kills everything but animals and all, and he wants to like go ahead and just like repopulate the earth.
Well, he
and
didn't even
everything.
find
It's-
he
But he
made.
wants to repopulate the Earth much in the way Hitler wanted
Yes,
to.
that's what I was getting ready to say too.
yes.
Even
Yeah.
provided, gas.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I assume the idea being that the Moonraker is the shuttle that
Yes.
Drax makes. So I guess the chosen, beautiful, perfect people would orbit Earth
A lot of them were blonde.
until they were
noticed.
blonde.
Well,
Yes, they're very Aryan.
And that was well, even like the God complex, to where like he was like they will always like even when they're on Earth, like they'll look up at the sky and know that there is order and all. Like
Right.
he made
Mhm.
reference of creating that new world,
Now-
like his utopia.
And now
Like,
maybe this won't sound good, and I really liked Hugo Drax. I don't agree with his
No.
ideas, but I like the character.
No,
wasn't
Drax
a
was a
bad-
good villain. I feel like.
because he was actually created for that movie. See, the last one, he wasn't. It was the last minute, threw together because it was supposed to be
yeah,
Blofeld.
And they got fish fucker instead.
No, I mean I think Drax is a good. I don't think he's like an all-time great villain, but I think he's a very solid good villain.
you do see that villain used in like pop culture later on. Like you'll see
Mhm.
like in Futurama and other like cartoons and side stuff, like that character type and everything, or that eco warrior basically and everything. That archetype's usually there. So I mean,
He's
it's
definitely eco warrior.
oh yeah, he's got that god complex where like all humans are bad, and like it's this is the way nature should be, and X, Y, and Z, and all that. I'm like, God, shut up, bro. Like just
But I will say this: I just don't want us to misspeak on this. He found an orchid that makes you sterile, and then he messed with it scientifically and made it toxic.
yeah,
And
because
kill people.
they said that there was that tribe that lived around there, and they died
Yeah.
out and all, but it was the pollen that made them sterile, and he just
Yeah.
like made it to where it was concentrated as a gas.
Mm-hmm. So,
Which
yeah.
I kind of believe that shit's in the Amazon. There's some weird shit down
I
there.
think
Like,
I mean,
there's a
I don't
lot
know
of
if it
plants we
affects
still
you
haven't
that
discovered.
way, but there's stuff out there that
Yeah,
will do stuff to you, and
but
animals probably just eat it because it's food.
There's some weird stuff in nature, like, but no, then yeah, but again, like everywhere Jaws goes, it's just slapstick destruction. Like,
But it's not even good slapstick, man. Like it really bothered me because I didn't find half of it funny.
we did
Yeah.
because there was the gondola scene or all that too.
That's
to
how the
where-
gondola scene angered me.
Yeah.
I have
I
questions
didn't even
about the
know
gondola scene.
that the guy was with MI6 until Bond all of a sudden started having all these gadgets with the boat, and I'm like, oh, so that guy was maybe an MI6 agent.
No lie,
He's
there's a
he's
lot
an
of gadgets in
MI6
this movie.
agent / gondolier. Yeah, it was peculiar. It was a terrible decision.
Well,
for the
yeah, then
movie.
he's like the guy who's throwing knives. Bond just throws it back, and then like later on the casket falls, and the Italian walks and just sees the casket. Like that's supposed to be like a laugh moment, and then when Bond once again we see another boat get cut in half, and like the guy is still rowing the gondola as he's
Yes.
sinking. The couple floats away.
All you
like-
needed was J.W. Pepper.
No, but the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, Pepper would have called them out on there for like a heartbeat and all. Like, God, Bond.
I tell you what, I didn't mind the boat chase scene as much until it went on land.
Yes.
When he's able to drive it on, that bothered me so
Scott
much.
loved that. He's 8, but I'm not.
I
Well,
mean,
but it
we
was
do
a lo-
have hovercraft that can do that, but
Yeah, but it was a lot of
not a freaking gondola.
it was a lot of that, like you said, that classic, like it was every stereotype comedy used. Like the guy like grabs a bottle of wine, looks at it as if he's too drunk, and the waiter's like spilling wine on other people because he's like not
And the,
paying
like the
attention.
fake double take from animals.
Yeah, I was like, they
Yeah.
did close up of animals and
come
stuff
on,
to
why?
where it was like just. And even like when the villains drove their boat, like the gunman falls off, he doesn't go back to get him.
He's like,
Oh,
"Hey."
yeah,
He's like,
just
You clearly heard that guy.
yeah, like and he's got the gun. Like it's like,
By the way, last week I referenced something that they ran out of suits for Bond. It's the boat chase scene.
Of course.
It's because they kept flipping him over into the canal.
I could believe
So
that.
let me ask you guys though, in regard specifically to like the gondola scene, could that have been played straighter? Could
Yes.
they have done that and not made it quite as goofy and it would have worked?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think so.
I think so
I mean,
too.
Avoided going
They
on
did it
land.
later
That
on
whole
in
go
another
land
movie
part.
called The Last Crusade. Indiana Jones.
Okay. Yeah.
And they made it so much better.
Yeah. I
Because
just
they had Sean Connery in it.
again, this goes back to and I'm sure and
James Bond was in that movie.
you guys all seem to agree that just small, and they're not small choices, but they're in the moment that if they would have just played it differently, different music maybe, not speed up the film so that it's like a Benny Hill,
There was
thing.
some.
That sort of
Yeah.
thing. We don't need a pigeon double take, like Justin mentioned. It's kind of a shame because I still liked the movie, but they could have done so much better.
Do you think they're probably just secure enough in where they are in the franchise that they feel like they can pander? Maybe they have to pander to draw audience in now.
Maybe, and I don't know, was like movie, and you mentioned Leslie, was like Airplane out during this
Oh, I-
time, and they were trying to like draw on
I
that,
don't know if it was out or it's definitely close.
Leslie
Yeah.
Nielsen was alive forever. Like,
So
And not only that stuff, I feel like at least there's two movies that Roger Moore's in. Like they're trying to sell merchandise because the one where the tarot card one got 007 logo all over the cards,
yeah.
and then in this one he's got that little mini camera. He's got 007
Oh,
on
that
the
was
fucking
awesome.
mini camera. And I'm
I-
like, what is he doing?
when you said product placement, and I
Yeah.
thought the 007 mini camera was awesome.
I think they
The
really sold that
7-Up
stuff.
7-Up, yes.
signs all over.
Yeah.
Seiko watches, I think, was
Yeah.
another one.
Well, those are
And
amazing.
British Airways, I think.
Oh yeah, everybody
Yeah.
got a shout. Yeah, everybody got a
Like,
shout.
Like
out.
they were
Everybody-
really trying to push it, and maybe that's what funded half the movie. But they
Yeah,
was
Seiko
really trying to
watches
push stuff.
Are
You know?
throughout. Like they're in a lot. They're in a lot of the Bond movies. Seiko
Yeah.
watches.
You'd think the man would wear a Rolex.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Well, apparently,
I could-
Well, I
Q,
guess they were in Italy. I
I
mean,
could-
he gets his watches given to him from Q, so it's what Q likes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Q seems like a Seiko guy, so.
yeah. Yeah, but then like the next boat chase scene and everything with Jaws, like one, they come at Bond with mortars and everything on the boat and all. First off,
Yeah,
which
silly. Moving.
yeah, and I was
boat
like,
with
it's and you're just
You're
terrible
never
at
gonna
using
hit.
it and all. You got like one or two shots and everything to get it right. But then like once you see the boat with Jaws and all, and they see like that there's a waterfall, Bond takes off in his little paraglider and all. It's like, oh, I'm gonna turn the wheel and just accidentally rips it off because he's like just comically too strong at this point, I
Right.
guess. And it's like it literally is like as if Bond is like an unstoppable force after the villain, and this guy is just an unmovable object you cannot beat. Like that's all it is here. That's like, but hey, then he survives the waterfall and all that. Like,
Yep.
Well, he survives another decent amount of stuff in this movie.
yeah,
Like we talked about what he survived in the last movie, but some of the stuff he survives in this movie is even more crazy. Like you said, he essentially fell off like Niagara Falls, man. Like
yeah, it wasn't a small waterfall. It
Yeah.
everything. When they pan out and all, I was like, yeah, it's a good shot. Like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy. But no, I liked the second boat chase scene. Like, you know, yeah, like you said, it's an inefficient way to shoot at him with the mortars. But that okay, it is what it is.
yeah,
But like
it made good film.
essentially he had the Bond boat. It was like the answer to the car. Like
that boat was nice.
mines and torpedoes and bulletproof and like all that stuff. So that I liked the boat. The boat was cool, and it was only in the one chase scene where Q gave it to him, told him do not hurt it, and he drove it off of
Which,
waterfall.
Once again, great reference. Like I said, just like the car in the last one and all that.
Yeah.
It's
He
like-
has to do it. He has
it's
to.
it's a good back and
You
forth
have to
now
say,
though.
"Please
That's the
don't
thing.
Destroy my thing.
It's like I
And Bond
like
has to destroy it.
yeah I like the back and forth between Q and Bond now. Like
Does he
it,
ever
Yes.
give him anything back?
it is good.
At this point, Q should just look. Whatever, man. Just take it.
Let me
Yeah.
ask this.
Just take it.
Since you mentioned this, is the dynamic between Moore's Bond and Q better than Connery's Bond and Q?
I think Q's accepted it now.
Yeah.
That this is what Bond does.
I like it.
I'm gonna
better.
make shit. And
Yeah.
He's gonna destroy it.
But I think
It's
yeah,
more
'cause-
playful.
and
Mhm.
I,
Or at
but,
least
but I
bring
think
the
that's
watch back.
yeah. But I think that's what it's got. I think to some
I don't-
degree that's what it's got to be.
I don't know that it's better. It's different. I do think while we're on the topic of the MI6 people, his relationship with Moneypenny is almost non-existent.
Yeah, you really don't see much. Even in the last one,
You don't
didn't
see her,
much of
and they
her.
don't
Yeah.
have interactions.
Like-
He literally just walks through her office in every movie. That's it. And they say like one or two things to each other, but there's no flirting anymore. There's no anything.
There's no
It's
hat.
yeah, there's no hat. It's just like the other
He
day.
does.
in-
in the gondola, he throws the hat on the
Oh,
little throttle thing on the boat.
I guess that is true. Like,
So he gets it in there one time.
And the relationship between him and M has taken another drastic change again.
Better.
It's gotten
Seems-
better.
Oh, it's
Like-
weird.
But in this
Yeah.
movie, he refuses to stick up for James in front of the Prime Minister, which is very un-M.
Well, yeah, and then he waits
Well,
until.
he did kind
for
of
the
just,
one guy.
make him look like an ass in front of Drax, and but
I
then
don't think he did, though.
Oh, he did.
Like,
And
all
then
they did was walk into a room.
Yeah,
Like, they
but
didn't do
He
anything.
made the prime minister and the head of MI6 put on a gas mask and then walk into this man's office and everything, getting ready to accuse him of like, basically biological weapons.
And they were
Well-
both friendly with Drax.
yeah, that was the thing too. Is like you're
Well, I
still
mean, I think they
you're still
had to.
acting under that like false
But
pretenses.
they had to do that because they didn't. I don't think they wanted to. Drax in that moment was probably thinking, "I'm making Bond look stupid,"
Yeah.
but then he didn't even know that Bond had taken some of that
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
at
the,
the wasn't
vials,
gas at the point,
yeah.
but the vial, and he handed it to M.
Yeah.
So
well, and it's
I
set
think
up.
that M
Like it was a
M
good
in that
setup.
moment was like, just don't get us in trouble. Like I think that's why I was like their
Well-
relationship's better.
Well, and
because
that's what he
didn't
was saying.
say
Like
something
you're
stupid
gonna have
him.
to take 2 weeks. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a
But
punishment.
it was no, it was to
Don't
take 2
slip
weeks
up.
to just go do what you got to do. I'm
Well,
just gonna follow what the prime
yeah.
minister said. Take you off. So
And-
officially,
but-
I'm taking you off.
Yeah.
But I want you to find this out and figure it out.
But I think that's where it's that back and forth to me seemed more like an equal because it wasn't the normal I'm coming down on you like we've seen in the other movies. It was
Yeah, he's definitely not
Yeah.
Dick M right
It-
now.
fatherly.
it was a
Mhm.
hey, don't slip up, and he's like, well,
'Cause
I've
it's
always
both
been
our
fond.
asses,
Yeah, he's
like,
like,
dude,
I've always been fond of Rio,
it's my
and he's
ass,
like,
too.
yes, like
Yeah.
so I like
It's
the
like,
dynamic
yes, I
of
remember
it.
you saying that. Even though-
I liked it better than, wishing death on him.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
That was dark.
Like I said,
that was
there's
dark M.
highs and
This is,
lows, highs and lows,
kinder,
yeah.
gentler M.
Yeah.
Like, and then Rio, I loved everything that was happening in Rio because like there was a great handlebar mustache in that parade and all that I saw. Like
There was, yes, I
like,
saw it
you
too.
saw it
Yes.
too. Like I was like, that guy is having the most fun at that party.
I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't see Jaws in that clown suit, man. I didn't think it was him
until he started
it happened.
until
I
he
was like,
started
oh.
walking down
He
like
just
that
slowly
alley.
walked. I'm like,
That's
oh.
when I knew. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's
But I will say this though, that is more Jaws than all the slapstick comedy stuff. Like
Oh,
he's
yeah,
in
it
this
was
big
scary.
clown suit, he
But
takes
then-
it off, he's gonna kill you.
But
was
that
like-
whole,
scary,
the
yeah.
whole alley, yeah, that was terrifying until then the party goers and they want to party with Jaws and he's trying to play it off.
He's
and
dancing
trying
with
to
her.
picks her
Yeah.
up, and she's not screaming or asking her. I was
That's
like,
what bothered me.
I'm
Like,
being
dude,
assaulted. This man
these-
just tried to
there's
rip
people
my
right
neck
there.
out. He just,
All you got to do is say, "Hey,
yeah, and then
I need help."
and then it's like I said, even when Bond
Even
does
though
come
Jaws would
down
kill
on
them
him,
all.
it's like the crowd then just takes him away. He's just watching Bond
Yeah,
again,
he
just
was-
like, dude, you're 7'2", like
Gave
like,
up too easy.
Yeah, you could just stand firm. And
It was
everything.
almost like he
Like,
was
oh, I didn't know they were going to be dancing.
Yeah, it's almost like he was scared for people to know that he was not a good guy. You know, it was
Yeah,
like
he didn't
You know,
want
Jaws
he
in the
didn't want
previous
to
movie
outright
wouldn't
kill
care.
people in front of other people like that.
Maybe this is part of the babyface turn. And we
I
just didn't
think
know
it
it.
was.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
softening him up.
Yeah.
They were
They're softening
they
him
were
up.
I
slowly
didn't
showing.
take it that way upon
yeah.
viewing it. I just took it as dumb. But
Well,
Yeah,
and it was.
That's why
But,
they
like,
did
it's-
some of the things he did goofy,
yeah.
and then now he doesn't want to kill people in front of people because oh man, I don't know what is
Yeah.
it? He doesn't care. He
I
wants
was
to
like,
care
maybe
what
I
they
got to
think.
be covert about it.
Like-
Like,
well, we're talking about killing people. I want to go back to something else towards the beginning of the movie. The pilot, what was her name? Karani?
I don't know. She was cute.
I can't remember. Her name.
Oh, very pretty woman.
I'm just a humble pilot.
But
You are.
she's a pilot. She flies Bond to Drax's compound where he makes the Moonrakers because Bond is supposed to be finding the Moonraker that was lost for Drax, even though Drax doesn't want him to, and it's kind of like a back and forth there. But
But he uses his name.
yeah,
So then Drax immediately knows who he is.
well, not only that, but he says, "Mr. Bond, your reputation precedes you." Like he knows. You know,
Everybody knows.
So then, but then Bond seduces the pilot and sleeps with her, and then she gives him information, and he ends up breaking into a safe and doing all this stuff. But Drax has her killed
Yes.
by sicking his dogs on her.
That's ruthless.
This
Yeah.
part killed me too.
Which,
Oh my
but,
God.
But once again, you knew that the dogs were going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Like, they
but
were
you're,
foreshadowing.
why they were-
Yeah.
How did hold
But-
on though? You go ahead. Ray.
but you're watching the movie the whole time, and you're like, why don't you just get back in the fucking golf
Yes.
cart and drive off?
Yes,
You
Yeah,
stupid?
he
yes.
passed it. I'm like,
Did you
why
get
don't-
fired from the golf cart license? I mean, there's one.
I thought the same thing.
A golf cart. Yeah, it probably isn't gonna go that fast, but it's better than your legs.
Yeah, at least you can
You'll-
kick out the
you-
dogs.
Yeah, you'll,
Yeah,
you'll,
you got
you'll
something that's
probably
a
outrun the
barrier
dogs.
between
Yeah,
you and the
like,
dogs, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
Yeah,
frustrated me. Fuck
it
out
was
of
very
me.
frustrating because I remember when I first watched this, I'm like, she's just gonna get in the golf cart and
Mhm.
probably hit something, but she passes it and thinks that her legs are gonna get her part of the.
Well, not only that, but then while she's running through the woods the whole time, going, "Please climb a tree. Please climb a tree."
Yeah,
Yeah, like
It was like you watching Friday the 13th or like The Evil Dead or something. Just stupid, mindless bullshit.
But that is really ruthless. Like we've seen a lot of people get offed in these movies, but like I want my dogs to rip you apart.
Yeah, I immediately thought of the
This means that
the
you
dog
trained
thing
them
from
to.
Django Unchained.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that shit
yeah.
was ruthless.
man,
That's
yeah.
really what I thought of. I was like, how
Oh,
much of this
man.
are they going to show? Because
No.
we've seen Old Boy blow up and
No, you just
everything
pan up,
before and
just
stuff. I was
pan
like,
up, you're they're not
yeah, I
gonna
was like,
show
are
up.
we about
Yeah.
to see like some like terribly made dog get ripped up? Like, what are they going to do here? And-
But okay, so let me ask you guys this. This is why I went back to this. So essentially, Bond got her killed. He seduced her, got information out of her, and got her killed. Then later on in the lab, before he takes people there, he kills the two scientists
yeah.
accidentally.
Mhm.
So essentially, he accidentally
Like, why
kills
does he even
3
mess
people
with
in
those
this movie.
Why did he already had a vial? Why did he go back and mess with the
I
other
like how
ones
he
and then
looked at
set
it
him
even
on?
afterward.
Like,
was
what was
like,
he
oh.
doing? It
Yeah.
looked like he was trying to put it together, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So he just set it down and ran out and it fell on the ground.
Like a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be here.
I didn't know quite what to think of it though. I was like, Bond is just going around getting people killed for no reason. Like we don't know anything. Like it didn't appear that the pilot lady, the Karan or Karini or whatever her name was, didn't appear she was a bad guy. The scientists, we know nothing about them.
I think if you work for a bad guy in these movies, though, that you are by association a bad guy.
Right.
You think so?
Yes.
Well,
So does that make Goodhead a bad guy?
No, she's undercover CIA. So she's got duty with that.
I mean, I know she's CIA.
Which I love when Bond is going through all of her shit and her
Yeah, he's
gadgets.
like messing with her shit.
Yeah, he's
I know
like
this
shooting
does.
darts out of everything.
Out of her
whatnot.
diary.
Yeah, out of the diary stuff.
yeah,
like,
she had some good ass gadgets.
one of the
Deadly.
perfumes, like that big ass flamethrower, and he's like, oh, a little strong.
strong
Like,
thing, yeah.
just, like,
He says standard CIA issue. But, and they talk about the CIA multiple times in the movie, but we don't see nor even mention Felix,
Yeah.
who is a supervisor of the CIA and one of Bond's best friends.
Who she probably works under.
Yeah.
yeah, I was like,
Felix, this is movie number 3 with no Felix,
Yeah.
and we don't even mention him when we talk about the CIA
Maybe
multiple
they can't-
times.
They couldn't make a decision on who was going to be Felix next.
No,
yeah, Bond didn't even name drop him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That would have been a
they're-
nice
they're
courtesy
friends.
call.
Do you miss him in the movie? I'll be honest, I don't mind Felix, but I don't miss him in the movies. You seem to like Felix.
I like Felix. I do like
I
Felix.
didn't like older Felix though. He was all right.
Cranky.
Yeah, I like the younger version of him.
Yeah.
I don't think he was needed in this one, but like you said, at least like, some type of mention would have been like, okay, you're still, I may see you further down the line. Or
Well,
something.
here's the thing, though. They spend half the movie with Goodhead saying she can't trust Bond. She can't trust Bond. All it would have done was a Felix name drop, call Felix. He'll tell you about me, and then that shit's over.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a reference and everything. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be some big thing or even like even cast somebody, but like just a mention, but like, oh, here are my credentials. Call this guy. Like,
Yeah.
just follow up.
Hell,
like,
even maybe just mentioning his name would have done the trick.
yeah.
Yeah. Felix Leiter is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do you think I knew how to operate all your gadgets? Yeah.
Exactly what this stuff is like.
Yeah.
But then he gets to Rio. Then he get like into the jungle and then stumbles upon just a bunch of hot women and everything with this
Yeah.
weird little pool and
Well, before that, he bangs Manuela,
that is
who I still don't know what the hell she was. She's like, I'm here to help you. And she knows what he drinks and stuff.
Not the CIA, but
MI6?
whatever the local. I thought it was like whatever the local. She was coordinated with MI6 with the local whatever they have there,
Oh, okay.
and she was essentially his guide.
Yeah.
Yes, he did bang, and I think looks better than Goodhead.
Yeah, I can get there. Yeah. I think both the other chicks look better than Goodhead.
definitely the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot's the
Pilot was
best looking
probably
chick in the
number one.
movie, for sure.
That was a shame.
Goodhead's more of a maybe more respectable, Bond girl than
How
we're used to.
respectable can you be with a name like Goodhead?
Hey,
Well,
She's got a good skill, apparently.
I'll say that goes out the window and everything. You put her in zero gravity, apparently.
Weird.
Like, it's
That's a
like-
family name to look at.
Yeah, I mean, she's more accomplished. I'll give you that, Barry. I mean, she's a doctor, obviously.
Doctor and
I mean,
astronaut. I mean,
Yeah, she's a she's
fully
a
trained.
trained
Yeah.
astronaut
fully
and a
trained
CIA
astronaut.
agent. Yes.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah, that
CIA
was
agent.
Something else that happened in that damn compound of Hugo's when he had a old boy like mess with the G-force machine or whatever.
Holy
it was.
cow!
that was a
Yes.
good scene.
Yeah, like that was why. That was like luckily like old boy got that.
By the way, did anybody else go, oh my gosh, this is the exact same scene of Bond on the backstretcher?
Yeah.
The woman puts him in it, walks away, somebody messes with the dial, screws him up, and then he...
Although that machine he really could
Yeah.
have gotten fucked up on. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
died
I
from
mean-
G-force.
Yeah, that's
With
what I.
that backstretcher.
Well, and even when I was
It
thinking
was
about it, I was
shaking.
like, man, I was like, what would
He's
that actually
shaking
do to a
very
human
off,
body?
yeah.
Just like
Oh,
all your
man.
blood and organs, like even just like everything would just shift.
He
like,
recovers way too fast.
Oh yeah,
Like he's
Well,
like
something-
staggering around for like 10 seconds, then he like just stands up, does his tie, and walks
Yeah,
off.
what did it get up to? Like It was
13,
like-
13?
Yeah,
past
13,
12.
and he just
like-
handles that, and then they need to put him in space immediately.
Oh
'cause he
yeah,
can handle it
but you
all.
could tell he was about to just black out and die because that's what we've seen, like flashes of everything, just bah.
But
Like,
he was still
he was barely because
he,
that was
he was there though.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
because
that
they
was-
said that most
yeah.
people pass out at 7, and he was just still hanging on at 13. Well, his brain should have probably
Hey.
been mush.
oh, just
Tom Cruise does 11.
Yeah, he did, but it's
No,
Tom Cruise.
10.2.
Tom,
It's Tom Cruise.
Either
He's-
way, Tom
he's
Cruise
in a
crazy
whole
shit.
other.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just be
yeah.
honest,
He's in the
that
crazy
man,
shit.
like he is drinking a lot of Scientology Kool-Aid. Like, he, like,
No,
Did he
he's the one
realistically
drive
get
the
to
bike
11?
up the
yeah,
mountain
he's
and
invincible at this
parachute.
point.
He did it himself.
Did Tom really get to 11 realistically?
Oh, I don't think so.
No,
That's
it
just
was
the movie.
in that,
Yeah.
that
I don't
scene,
know. I
it
could
was-
see his
I think
crazy
it
ass
was
like
10 G's or something.
I thought it
Yeah.
was 10.2, and then the
Yeah, I
plane
think it was
crashed.
10. Yeah.
Yeah.
either way. Impressive.
Yeah.
It's Tom
Really.
Cruise. It's always impressive.
But yeah, but then you like you say, and he's seen because so he knew what was up right after that though.
Yeah, because he
was-
walked up the stairs and dude was
Yeah.
like slowly
But
walking
Okay.
out of there.
you-
Like,
I'm
I
glad.
did it.
Yeah, he didn't have any dialogue. He wasn't talking. You could see he was even suspicious of everyone around and just trying to get away and get his bearings and all that. Like, I need my blood to be circulating again in my body. Like,
By the way, Chang, the Asian guy that tries to kill him there, he is a super annoying character, and I couldn't stand him. He pissed me off the whole movie. First off,
That
he
last
screams
fight-
constantly.
yeah, that last
And
fight
second
was
off, he's the
terrible.
worst assassin of all time. Like, your goal is to kill Bond, and you're terrible at it. First off, why did you bring a wooden judo stick if you wanted to kill Bond?
Training. He just wanted to train.
I
himself
thought that
to kill
too,
Bond.
and all that. To where I was like, why didn't you bring a real sword?
Yeah.
You've been trained in the like. Just,
Or why didn't you just stab him instead of screaming as you ran at him? Like, walk up behind him and stab him then. Like
He
it was
screamed the entire time. It was really annoying.
super annoying.
I will say I'm glad that like that Bond got like the sword that was sitting there because I was like, man, is he gonna grab the sword or is he gonna grab the gauntlets? Like, because I would totally just grab the gauntlet and grab and just like beat someone's face in if I had those gloves on.
But again, here's another scene where they tried to be funny and they failed. Like,
oh yeah, it
he
was-
picks up the vase that sets the alarm off that they told us was worth $1 million, and he puts it back, and then he immediately smashes it, and I'm like, no, that wasn't funny, guys. Like,
Yeah, he destroyed like years of history.
Yeah.
in one
Oh
fell
yeah,
swoop.
that was a lot of yeah.
Now they could have done something funny with that, but the route they took, yeah, it wasn't that humorous, which is odd because if you're seeking to make it funny, I mean, there's a way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, old boy's haircut. Was
Like
funny
even
in
if
that.
they would have done
Like,
something dumb, like let's say like that's how Bond beats him as he picks it up and hits the guy over the head. I'm not saying that's the most hilarious thing in the world, but even that's funnier than what happened.
yeah.
they probably
And he
would've
could have
had
been
little,
like, good way to
head
spend $1
wiggle
million.
thing.
One of those Bond
They
lines.
were like worth every penny.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, just totally unmemorable though at all. Like, yeah, just a flop and all. But yeah,
Overall, I like that fight scene though. I'll say generally speaking, I liked it. The glass breaking.
I still think there should have been a real sword.
Yeah, I didn't take the assassination seriously.
By the way, the other thing is Roger Moore. Like I said, I think last episode, Roger Moore's fight scenes suck. But I felt like he was very, very believable. Maybe he really even can fence. When he picked that sword up, he looked like a natural with it in his hand.
He parried quite a bit and all. So yeah,
Yeah.
It's like a required part of a British school.
yeah, they teach him
Is
that
that
in like
fencing? Yeah.
in
Is
grade
that the
school.
first fencing scene in it?
I believe so, yes.
But yeah, but then like I said, back to like the pool then with all the chicks because then he fights his damn snake. Like
Which was clearly fake.
But it was done. I thought it was done reasonably well.
It was fine. But again, then we're talking about he kills the snake, swims to the edge, and Jaws, who had just 2 minutes earlier fallen off the waterfall, is standing there.
Wet and
he
like,
just picks him up by his head.
Yeah.
like when he could have killed him right then and there.
Oh, I
Done
really
with
thought
it.
I was like, man, is he gonna just choke him out now? Like,
Yeah.
because like the snake was just trying to constrict him. I was like, oh, snake didn't do it. Jaws is going to like. But yeah, but then like you said, then Hugo gets all offended and whatnot. I was like, oh, you killed him. Like, I think he had a name for the snake, probably even and all, or like he said it. But he's like, you're not a sportsman at all. But like, come on,
What
man.
did
The
you
last
expect,
movie you
Hugo?
had a
Yeah.
fucker, maybe.
Why did you kill my snake? And Bond's line is, he had a crush on me. And I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's when, again, when they could have just shot Bond and got it over with, they decide to put him underneath the space shuttle launch area so he'll get incinerated.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about
Like,
creativity. They want to kill
Which,
Bond.
by the way,
Almost
Ways.
a
there was a
elaborate
conference table with chairs around it in that
Who
room.
the hell is gonna sit?
Yeah, who is
Even
meeting
after
there?
It's gone off. That shit is all metal. It's not,
Yeah, it's
or it's gonna be like covered in soot.
that's where you're
can't
getting
sit
that's
there.
where you're getting rid of the shareholders you don't like. It's like you just
Yeah.
invite everybody there to be like, hey, we're gonna talk business, kind of like
It's-
what
there's
Maybe
no
that is-
practicality.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no practicality to a conference room underneath a
No,
silo where
this
rockets go.
is definitely just to get rid of people after I got your money. Like invest and get away. Like just
Yeah.
And I didn't mind that scene, and I appreciate it for what it is. But the obvious the escape great,
yeah.
come on, Drax, you didn't notice that, fella. You know?
You didn't notice that Bond had C4 in his watch?
Yeah, he didn't take anything from him. He just let Jaws pick him up and walk him in there.
And Bond put up no fight. He walked super peacefully
no, he-
to his
yeah, he
death,
was-
supposedly to his death.
Like yeah, he tried one punch on Jaws. Jaws like, and then he just like you said, he just gave up.
He
It was like
defeated either.
he's like, all right, where's my holding cell? Like just like he just knew at that point and all. And then him and Goodhead just like beat up which I had like total Shawn Michaels moment and everything where he just like kicks that one guard and all that in the face or whatever.
Some
Like
sweet chin music.
yeah, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, like, that was
I
great.
think
Like,
I'm cute.
No, Goodhead beating that guy over the head with a gas can.
yeah.
He had empty gas can.
Oh, that was hilarious and all.
Speaking of Jaws again, how about that fucking airport scene where he's going through TSA
Yes.
and they're just like,
Smiles, yeah. I'd be like, I'd let him
and
go
they're
through
just
too.
wadding on through.
Because let's be honest, like at that point, if security's suspicious of anybody, it's the 7-2 guy. Like everybody's watching you anyway. Like we're gonna see if you do something. Like,
Pre 9/11,
Yeah,
you just go on through.
Yeah.
like it's
he must be a
well,
war
that was-
veteran.
so when 7-2 smiles at you with like basically a bear trap in your mouth, like I'm not gonna pick.
They
a fight.
only
Yeah.
stop you if you had more than 2 guns.
Yeah, it's I was like, hey, like head on through, you're good. Like, he just you probably still smoked on the planes back then. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He could, yeah.
Guaranteed you could smoke. And yeah, no joke. Another movie where Bond doesn't smoke.
yeah, not a cigar in sight.
I like a cigarette smoking Bond. I don't mind saying it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think there's I know it's weird to say, but I think there is a cool, like Bond brings a coolness to it.
Hell yeah.
Let's be honest, smoking is cool.
Oh, I
I don't
almost
know if
forgot. We
smoking
got
is-
a cowboy
what was I
Bond in
saying?
this one.
There's a difference between cool
Yes.
and healthy. Like
I found that very
Well, yeah.
off-putting.
it's
Yeah.
not
As much
healthy,
as I
but it's
love
cool.
the good, the bad,
Like-
the ugly, and Clint, I'm like, did we have to be on the nose with it?
Oh,
He was
it-
totally Pale Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
That was fun.
unnecessary.
I did like
I
the,
did
I
laugh
did like
at
the
that
bolos
because
though.
of-
like when they threw
the
that.
exploding bolas.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did like I got a good chuckle out of that. I was like, that's never going to be used, but okay. Like,
And then the karate priests show up.
The monks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't like unless I'm mistaken, they weren't like Eastern monks like from
Like Shaolin
Tibet
and all
or
that.
Shaolin.
No.
They're like monks out of like the abbey in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing karate and shit.
hey, it's martial arts. It's,
And then again,
concentration. It's
we're
not
talking
violence.
about Moneypenny here. He like walks up to her desk and she says, "How are you, James?" And he's like, "I fell out of a cable car." And she's like, "Oh, M's over there." And that's the end.
yeah, like, not like a quip or not a joke or
Yeah,
nothing.
because before that, the interaction they had was like, I fell out of a plane, and he's like, you don't believe me? No. And that was it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
an odd
That
one.
was it.
And their interactions have become almost pointless. Like you could write her out at this point, it wouldn't matter. And I like Moneypenny's character I'm not saying they should write her out, but at this point they're not doing anything with it.
Well,
James
I
Bond no
do-
longer wants to bang her.
Yeah, I do theorize that it simply has to do with her age. I
Probably.
think Jack Nicholson said and he's still alive, of course, as an older man when he was 70 or so, you don't want to see me with with a woman my age. And it's the same thing with James Bond. You don't want to see James Bond with a woman his age.
Well, he is supposed
Yeah.
to be like 37 in the movie too. So even though the actor is what he's in his
52.
yeah, he's 52 in the movie in real life, but his character is supposed to be a 37-year-old, I do believe.
He is supposed to be 37. By the way, I said this to Justin earlier today. I think for the first time in the Roger Moore era, Roger Moore clearly aged between movies. He looked older in this movie. There's not a snowball's chance in hell he's 37.
Oh no.
No,
no,
he
he
looks
don't
like a
have to say
man in his early to mid 40s is what he looks like to me. So good on him for that. You know, I
yeah,
think
I'll
he's
give
still.
him that. Yeah,
I say it every time. I
like-
think the man looks $1 million.
like still for 52.
Yeah.
Like we'll see what I look like then, so I'm not going to talk too much shit. So like
That's fair. Q is also starting to really show his age. Although Q will be around a while longer.
I think he's the longest running.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But yeah, Q is also starting to look much older, I believe.
You guys forgive me for this. Was there a Bond car in this movie? I'm not drawing one.
There was a boat.
And we had the
Yeah, well, they
boat.
had
We
the
didn't have.
boat,
I don't think we
which-
had a car. We just had the
I don't
boat.
get off on boats. Like I do
We had multiple
cars.
boats, I guess. Actually.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, I think Roger Moore is obsessed with boat chase scenes because we've had 4 and 4 movies.
Well, maybe he is a
Yeah.
fan. Maybe
you think he's like going up to the writers like, how about another boat chase?
Yeah, I'm feeling nautical today. just
It's nice for that gondola. to go
Yeah.
on land.
like
He probably choreographed all the poachers.
no, but then like him and Goodhead, like what they pose as the astronauts and
They do.
everything on the shuttles and they take off and whatnot. Like
So essentially, what we're saying is, first off, if Bond just would have escaped and not gone to space, the world would have ended.
yeah,
That's
'cause
number
'cause
one.
They would have been up there first. Yeah, so if he wasn't in the right place, caught at the right time.
Yeah. Second thing is, if he did not have Goodhead with him, he never would have got there because she was the one that knew how to drive the space shuttle.
Yeah, he would.
So
been,
Goodhead is essential in this.
I don't know. It's possible because she told him it's an automated thing.
She said that,
So
but then she had to manually park it. It said take it, put it on. You're now in manual.
Okay.
Dock the shuttle.
Well, then he
Yeah.
probably still would have helped because he would have crashed into the thing. and-
yeah,
well, he would have died, and so would everybody else. So maybe he still would have saved it.
yeah, I was gonna say that's you just kind of take the plot for what it is at that point. Like
Yeah, it's
No, I mean, no, I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying like
No.
she is like essential to the plan at that point. Like
that's
she,
what I mean. Like she's essential to it, but only because everything kind of like the stars align for like a fuck up not to take place. Like, that's what I mean. It's like so. Yeah, I'll criticize it.
Yeah,
like
but
you,
to that
you
point,
bumbled your way into heroism and
the
all
only,
that. That's
like-
what you did. Like you
But
didn't
you
like.
gotta think about it.
Yeah.
The only effective things that Bond did throughout the entire movie was get a vial of that stuff to Q and get on the spaceship. All the shit he did up until those points
Like I said, yeah, it's
served no purpose.
by the way,
People do.
I have a weird stat
a
for
lot
you.
of fumble fucking around the world. Like literally. Like just,
In the entire movie, Bond only fires a gun once. Do you know when it is?
Is it a space gun?
No.
Ooh. No, I don't.
Does he shoot it at Jaws and he shoots him in the mouth?
No, that was in the last movie.
Okay. Which is not where I would try to shoot Jaws, by the way.
No, not at all. That was really dumb.
easy center mass. Like just go on.
No, I don't know.
Like yeah, I got
Yeah,
I'm
movie.
blank.
He shoots the sniper out of the tree with the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
Because then
But-
he was like, "Oh,
Which
you're
I
a
loved.
Bad shot." It's like, "Or you missed." Like, did I? Like,
Yeah, no, it was a decent scene. But that's the only time Bond fires a gun the entire movie.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that was a Roger Moore thing. He didn't want to shoot guns either.
Well, or once again, like, even in line with the whole comedy thing, are they trying to make it more like age friendly and everything?
I think they might have been
It's-
trying to draw
possible.
kids in with
Like
it.
especially like you said, if you're really trying to draw off the Star Wars, was big with like kids and young adults and teens and everything. Like, are you really trying to get like a younger demographic? Is what this movie did. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying
I
like
would
with
have to say they definitely gave
Yeah,
that some
it's-
thought and did that.
like especially if you rearrange the order of the movies and everything so much to like try to slot this damn like hot turd in and all that.
No.
Like, it was just
Now, oddly, I do think they showed some restraint because they're really only in space minimally.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah, it's
climax,
okay,
Whereas I'm sure at some point along the way, somebody probably suggested, let's have a bunch of it in space, you know?
Well, I imagine they thought they pretty much let's do Thunderball in space
That's
because that was the
almost
first.
Yeah.
exactly what it
That was
is.
because it seemed like it's a one shot,
It
one
was the
kill,
Marines
basically
against
just
the
No,
like the
bad
no,
guys.
arrow and everything.
I don't even think
yeah.
it's Thunderball in space. I think it's the last movie. It's not underwater. It's in space. It's the exact same story. I'm going to make the Earth unlivable. We're going to go underwater. I'm going to make the Earth unlivable. We're going to go to space. It's the exact same
Literally
story.
highs and lows. So like it's
Maybe this one was supposed to be Blofeld as well.
Instead, they get Space Hitler.
yeah. Just,
Space Hitler.
but I was like, they dock and everything, and we see Jaws on the on there and whatnot.
Jaws has got. I told Justin earlier today. I assume that was part of it. That was his payment for being the henchman. Was he got to go with them? So, because obviously you die if you don't.
Yeah.
And he was able to get his girlfriend on there with him.
I was gonna say, he had an extra ticket apparently because she wasn't associated in any way. He just showed up with a hot Italian blonde. Like it's like, yeah, why not? You can have her on.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hugo's fine with it. Like
Yeah, if he can get some first.
So, I mean, I guess the major thing that Bond and Goodhead do is they turn off the radar blocker.
yeah,
And they do that early. Yeah.
They do that, and then they get caught by Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Which is scene actually was kind of funny, where he just walks up and crosses his arms and stands behind him, and then Bond just turns around and is like, oh, crap. Like,
well, and at that point, it is just a running joke.
Yeah,
it
'cause-
is like then
Yeah.
the whole because now you're at the end of the movie, so from start to finish, the whole thing is just like Ray was saying, that's the character arc and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side by side, paralleling him and all. So it's like, God, it's like 2 movies and everything worth of arc on it.
Then he eventually got his happy ending because Bond's like, yeah,
Figuratively
he probably
and literally.
survived that.
Yeah.
So
Well, they
possibly.
what was a mission control? So they found a
Yeah.
Yeah.
ship with a very
and
tall man,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a small blonde.
And,
yeah.
and then like Jaws has his one dialogue, like "Here's to us" or whatever.
Here's
Like
to
it's
us.
like bites open the champagne bottle and all that. Like,
Here's to us.
and you know what? For meeting some stranger and everything in Italy and whatnot, she's like really calm and cool about all of this.
Yeah.
Like, and apparently they're okay with like doing G forces and taking that kind of shit too. Like, it's one of those and Jaws doesn't talk really a whole lot. So like, how do you sell
Just
that?
kind of just pulled her
Like,
arm and she
it's-
just went along with
Just
it.
I was
goes
like,
along, yeah.
he,
Just kinda
just,
saw
he just
everything.
carries her everywhere. She just goes because.
I mean, I guess
like-
at that point you're like, well, I've got this huge, strong ass dude with metal teeth that
yeah, no one's
probably
fucking
protect
with
me
you.
from
Yeah,
anything.
I was gonna say,
I
yeah,
might as well
like,
stick with him.
you just
Yeah.
you met him because he crashed the whole ski lift basically into a building. You like moved the cog off it, like it's.
so
Yeah, it's a hell of a
speaking
impression. Like,
speaking of the scene where Jaws turns and fights with Bond, okay?
oh, Hugo was pissed.
Well, yeah, Hugo was very pissed.
You work for me.
Well, I said this earlier off air. Whenever a main villain has to say that to a henchman, he's getting ready to die.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's always the way it is in any movie. But do you think Jaws turned because he thought he would die? Or do you think Jaws turned because he thought the girl would die?
I say the girl.
yeah, the girl.
Because he kept staring at her. But she's more fitting to what's his face
Yeah,
wanted.
she'd make the Aryan cut.
A pretty blonde girl.
Yeah.
Then I mean, Jaws obviously it does not fit the race thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know because
I think her, but just because
It was her.
we have 2 movies of him, like he obviously doesn't care about his mortality.
Mhm.
Like let's just
They
be
have
honest.
to-
If you're a henchman in general, I feel like you've accepted that like you're in a business of death. Like and then
But not your own.
okay, but you
I
got,
mean, you know
it's-
that it
it's-
might go along, but
Yeah.
this made it inevitable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If he didn't side with Bond and fight back, it was largely inevitable. He wasn't gonna.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think between him and Bond's rivalry through it, I really think he would have just offed Bond if the girl wasn't there. Like
Yeah, that's what I think. I think
yeah.
it is because of her. She was the one that, I guess made him care about something.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just used that, which I wish they did.
Because he was still trying to kill Bond even after he met her, so he was
Yeah,
still
But it
doing
was
his
now
job.
her mortality is in jeopardy.
Yeah, it's like,
So he's
oh,
like,
now we're
uh-uh.
both
This
here.
is an oddly interesting question. So let's say that the girl wasn't involved at all. And Jaws was confronted with the same situation in the same place, basically being told, "You don't fit into Drax's plan. You're going to end up dead because you're basically a monster. You're not, pretty like these other people, perfect specimen." You think that he still would have just sided with Drax? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
If he still got to
possible.
live, he just couldn't have babies. He's just essentially the security, which was what he already is.
Yeah,
Because
I never
doesn't-
thought of it
He
like
just doesn't
that.
procreate.
It's not as if Hugo wouldn't still need an enforcer in the future.
Well, I do
So-
think no, but Bond's exact words were, "Anybody that doesn't fit your idea of the perfect race will die." Correct?
Yeah.
And he said yes, or he said obviously.
And that's when they shot to him. Yeah. So.
And so it was like, so it made it seem like they were going to kill Jaws.
And
Or
that's-
or it would be just like how the plants did it naturally. I mean, he wasn't going to have a baby. He wasn't going to have a kid, so he wouldn't. His line would stop with him. That is still killing him.
Or even that, he would,
even if he died naturally, it's
like,
still killing his line off. It's still killing him.
or kill his idea of a family with his new girl,
Yeah.
to where it's like, oh, like I won't be able to have a family with her.
we are
Like,
deep diving on the psyche of Jaws.
Of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary.
And we have a
I
fine
think
discussion.
I
the
really think
serial
it's okay
killer.
to call him a
That's-
psychopath.
yeah,
It is.
yeah.
I think there's some psychopathy here. Like,
I mean,
it's
there's
like-
definitely something there.
like, I think we could say that. Like, but hey, the heel made the turn though.
Yeah.
Like, and more or less, he saved the day.
Yeah.
Because he allowed Bond, the chance to get away and whatnot. And I did enjoy how Hugo died and everything. In this
It was a
one.
good death.
Like it was way better than 2 shots to the dick and everything the last guy
Yeah.
got. Like it's
So, speaking of deaths, and over the course of the Bond movies, there's always deaths, and there's been some huge scenes where we've seen a lot of death. But this is the first movie where there's a lot of female death. They killed dozens of women in this movie, dozens. We don't ever see anything like that. I mean, we also talked about the pilot is ripped apart by dogs.
but they also don't show it like they do, like some of the deaths of the men.
Well, that's the one thing I was getting ready to bring up as well. You realize when the fight breaks out and everybody's shooting each other with lasers, there's not a single woman in that big room where they're all killing each other. All the women are gone.
Yeah.
All of them.
I even think of all the big, even in the last movie and some of the other like big fight scenes we've seen where there's a bunch of them. It generally is all male, and you see the death. Whereas like in this, and once again, I maybe make it more family friendly, or just like maybe it was a little gauche at the time to show a female dying on camera and everything. So it's, I mean, it was just one of those things where like it was too much for society. It wasn't just not palatable. Like
It isn't palatable. You're
Like-
absolutely right.
so especially the dog one, because let's be honest, like
That would have been bad if they had
Yeah.
showed that on camera.
Yeah, the
you
women's
can't Django a James Bond movie.
No,
largely,
no.
I think this is true. The death of women in the Bond films are very like personal, and they're not grotesque. It's like a single shot, and she lies down and dies. It's
It's feminine.
yeah.
It's a feminine death.
Yeah,
Like,
Bond will usually use it as a means to really get focused,
Yeah.
or it'll affect him emotionally a little bit before he
Yeah.
moves forward.
but I think it's supposed to do that too. The audience. I think that's why the audience reacts that way to female death, though. I think it's I mean, it sucks to say, but
I wouldn't want to watch something that was
Well,
had
but I-
gratuitous female death in it.
no, and I think it's safe to say like society is okay with a male dying over a female and all,
Yes,
and
it's
so it's just one of those
that's
things. To
totally
where,
true.
like, you're just playing upon that in cinematic film is all. To where it's like I know the emotion I'm going to invoke if I manipulate these characters just based on their gender and all. Like,
Do we have I'm asking the people obviously that have seen the future movies. Do we have a grotesque female death in the movies? I don't know what. I guess it depends on your definition of grotesque. I mean, we have some obviously prominent female deaths coming up.
Well, in one of Craig,
Not a
you
wood
see
chipper, I know
you
that
see
much.
her
Like,
drown.
yeah.
You see her drown. Yes.
She drowns herself, and you watch it happen.
Yeah, I remember. I was thinking of that in my head. I was like, I don't know, is that grotesque or is that just
definitely
know,
be intense.
yeah.
But once again, like the drowning there when someone drowns, there's no blood. There's just a lot of flailing, and really, even if you watch somebody drowning in cinema,
It's supposed to be one of the worst ways to die, though.
oh yeah, it's super painful. Obviously,
I think it'd be awful.
but it's
Yeah.
one of those things that your emotion then I feel like would be more dictated on what is the background music. Like how dramatic is that? Because other than that, you're just gonna see somebody flailing around in a pool of water. And it's the background music that invokes the reaction of you. Like so really it's like what are you hearing while you're seeing what you're seeing? Like
Yeah, it's definitely a difference maker.
So is that the only one we can think of? Is just
I'm trying to think of how
I
in
can't
a,
think
in a
of
View to a Kill, Timothy Dalton movie, the way they trying to think how they killed Felix's
That's
wife.
still more.
How they killed Felix's wife in that one. But I don't know if it was grotesque.
View
I
to a
feel like
Kill
it's fucked up.
is a Roger Moore movie.
Or which one am I
You
thinking
thinking
of?
Living Daylights or
What's
Living
the other
Daylights
one?
or License to Kill? Which-
License to Kill, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like the way they killed her might have been fucked up, but I don't think it was grotesque necessarily.
Well, what? Okay, well, let me ask you about this one. What about Plenty O'Toole and Diamonds Are Forever? I mean, they staked her in a bottom of a pool and drown her.
but you don't see it.
you don't
You don't see her.
yeah,
You don't see it. You just see her floating in the water.
And
Right.
if you remember, there's no real music in the background. It's
And
just it's just him talking to what's her name about this was supposed to be you.
I don't
Like
think
Yeah.
it
and then it's just
lingered
overlooked.
long, and it was kind of blurry even because of the water. You know,
Yeah,
the
well,
way
I mean,
it was
it's,
shot
it's,
and the-
it's everything. What do you
I got
mean, what
I
do you
got
think?
one for you.
Casino Royale. Whenever Vesper is drowning in the elevator thing.
Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Sorry.
What about Paula and Thunderball? They're torturing her.
remind me. I remember
It's
was
the chick that
working
in
on
my six
Bond.
sins with him,
Mhm.
and they kidnap her out of his hotel room, and they have her tied to the chair and they're torturing her. And Bond finds her. They don't actually show her death,
Right, you don't see it.
but then Bond finds her dead body.
Well, and I think that's. But once again, you're not there for the death,
That's a difference.
and I think that is it's like now
Yeah, if
you
you're not there, you don't really experience.
no
it.
all you've done now is you just stumbled upon a corpse, like you weren't there when the person's like death occurred when the life was gone now.
Yeah, 'cause
Like, and I
even
think
the-
that's
in,
an
Goldfinger,
impact.
The girl that got sprayed with gold.
Yeah,
I mean, you caused her entire body
Yeah.
to shut down and suffocate.
yeah. I was gonna say yeah.
I
So
mean,
you
Yeah.
If you saw that, that would have been terrible.
yeah.
But
'Cause
we
you
only
would
saw,
see- you would
and
see
actually
the
it's so
suffer,
iconic
yeah.
that people like that scene.
It's somehow
seeing
beautiful,
A naked
yeah.
girl
And
covered in gold.
Yeah, that well once that's yeah.
That
Like I
actually
said,
looked
so
like she was
iconic.
sleeping, not dead.
Yeah. But like I said, all you've done was stumble upon a corpse.
Yeah.
Like
I think, and this is more kind of general than just the deaths, and I know this may sound antiquated to some. I don't know about you guys. I like the way these older Bond movies do the male female dichotomy, the relationships, and how they are presented differently. Because as much as some people don't like to admit it, men and women are quite different, and I like it that these movies don't pretend otherwise.
Yeah, no, I think that's a nice way to put it.
yeah. But yeah, no. So then, like I said, they kill Hugo and all that, and like which that death, be a gruesome death. That one could have been bad. Like, cause you imagine you just toss like a human body out into space. I'm pretty sure like it wouldn't be good for it and everything.
I'd
Like
probably be pretty quick, but I think he had been shot with the poison
Cyanide.
yeah, but
yeah.
still, like the body itself, just because there's still oxygen in the body and
Right.
the gases and everything, you toss that into space, like you're gonna see weird stuff happen and everything. And he
Yes.
just floats off into oblivion and all that.
He
like-
truly became Space Hitler.
Yeah, he's definitely one with stars and all, but no, I did like it because even he was like, "Now I can put you out of my misery," and I was like, I like that line, like that was a good one, Hugo. Like that was fun, but no, I just pop, little wrist gun and all, like, and it was like, and I was like, I assumed it was the cyanide dart and all, or like, but it didn't seem like it acted too fast, but you know, he stumbled back and boom, jettisoned him out. And then what we got him and Goodhead then just traveling around space after Jaws releases them and all that by just ripping that shit off and all
Yeah.
because they can't get out.
Yeah, and then they're tasked with they had to destroy the
Those like orbs of
yes,
Poison gas.
Oh
Yeah.
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 which of course Bond being so cool, the automatic firing system didn't work, so you had to do it manually.
By the way, how many rockets do we shoot into space have weapon systems on them?
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to point this out.
This was Hugo's rocket.
Right, I know, but I mean, like, they have weapon systems on them. But here's my other thing: the other space shuttle that came to fight them said U.S. Marines on the side.
Yeah,
The Marines have a space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marines.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
They got a
the
shuttle.
Marines have a space invasion sector, and they sent one up there
Like Warhead.
to have the worst laser fight in the history of the world in the middle of space.
Well, now
There's
we
not
have an
30,000
actual
Space
space
Marines,
force and all that can do
11
that. Like
with
we
lasers.
created a branch. Like
So let
We
me
did.
quote
We have one now.
Hugo
Yeah.
Drax.
I think they're ranked right under the Coast Guard. Like just,
Stand by to
They are.
Have
laser it.
lasers.
Yes, stand by to laser it.
I loved that line. It made me laugh out loud.
But Q had the best closing line in the whole movie.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Mew,
What is-
M goes,
What's he?
"What is Bond doing?" And then Q chimes in with, "And I think he's I think he's attempting re-entry, sir."
Yes, that was
maybe the
good.
best closing line to this point.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
And it's
That
the
was
second
great.
movie that like Bond gets caught with the girl.
Yes.
Like in a row, there's like all the murmuring and like mission control. They're like, "What's he doing?" I'm like, you all are a bunch of grown old men. You know
Like,
exactly what he's doing.
He's doing
Like,
what you wish
Yeah.
he was
Dirty
doing.
dogs. Q knows what's up.
like
though.
that whole place is about to
Yeah.
look like
Well,
a
he
snow
wasn't even
globe.
looking. He
Like,
wasn't looking at the screen. He was looking down at the monitor.
yeah, I was like, Q
watching the
yeah.
actual movement of
Yeah,
the show.
Q wasn't being an ass.
And it
He was
just worked.
like, oh, we're really doing this, and everybody else is just like rabble. Like, just
By the way, Bond has now hooked up with multiple CIA agents,
yes.
an Italian Secret Service agent, a Russian Secret Service agent. Like, he's making the rounds, man. He's collecting Secret Service agents from all over the world.
That's how you make connects, man.
Yeah.
He
He's
goes
like a
all
bank.
over the
He's
world.
an equal opportunity lender.
Oh, but sweet Jesus, that look that she gave Bond and all when she won another trip around the world, like, yeah, like,
By the way,
I love
I
that
did
look.
wonder, like, what would it be like to have sex with no gravity?
irritating. I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah,
sounds
irritating.
frustrating.
Yeah, the
kinda
physics don't
bumping
seem to
all
work.
over the place. You're like sideways one way, and then like upside down another
Justin's
way.
giving us a play-by-play over here.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
The
terrible.
whole place is going to
It
be
would
like a damn
terrible.
snow globe.
Yeah,
you're
if you don't do it, if you don't,
It's going to
inside
float.
there.
Well, it's going to float out.
Well, it's going to come out anyway. Well,
That's the
yeah,
issue of humans
she
trying to fuck in space. Is like you need gravity. No, this is a real logistical issue.
No, but
an issue.
It is
We
an
need to talk
issue.
this.
Well, no, they're really like trying to work out like how would humans reproduce in other
Send
planets
some
and stuff.
astronauts to
And it's
space
about
until
and it's about
fucks in
gravity.
space
Because, like I said,
so we can study it.
your body just deteriorates without it.
This
Like,
just speaks to my
God damn
theory
it,
that
Tom.
humans are not meant to inhabit space.
no, you're engineered.
Why we can't survive in
You're
space.
engineered for
Imagine.
gravity. Like you need pressure. Like you need that. Like
I mean, otherwise, you saw what Justin did. That's what would happen.
except all around the room.
Yeah, all around the room, and then there's a snow globe.
You can't just open a window and get rid of that shit.
No, it's just there.
And really, are you going to be
And
the
if you
one to
happen
try
to
to
get it-
catch it to clean it up? Like no.
why are we having this
yourself up.
conversation?
Like
Because
jettison
this
it
is
out
what
in
happened
space,
after Bond got
eventually
laid.
becomes little ice bullets.
Like,
If it goes out in space.
ridiculous.
Hope it doesn't go around and come back to this show. There's little bullets through there.
Messy.
All right.
So many jokes I can make. It's
Are you going to end it on
It goes
that?
down to the earth.
I
Fucking
don't
Sunday
even
me
know.
home.
that was the end of the movie. and
That
all
was the end of the movie.
Oh,
Well, does anybody else have any scenes or anything they want to talk about before we move on?
No, I'm good.
That definitely did it for me. I'm good.
All right. Well, that will end our talking about the movies section and send us into rankings.
Oh,
So that being said, let's talk about body count. I again have us down for another 3. Anybody disagree?
What he's got the cute little pilot. He's got Goodhead,
Seemed like you got to.
And Manuela.
Manuela.
So
Yeah,
3.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's lots of other chicks in this movie, but he doesn't bang any of them.
Yeah. He's surrounded by.
I
soft
did
tail
think when he
everywhere.
went to Drax's little compound that he was about to have some fun, and he didn't because
Oh,
it just
yeah.
kept coming out of everywhere, like different It was.
It was almost like a Majesty's Secret Service sort of setup, where just
Yeah.
lovely
Or-
ladies all
Yeah.
over.
And then some of those chicks, I thought, are we gonna get ourselves like a Bambi and Thumper type scene here, where they're gonna
When I
kick the
saw
crap out of them?
the black girl, and I was like, they looked similar.
Yeah, they
So
did.
I'm like, oh, okay, one of these girls are about to try to whoop his ass.
I just immediately thought we're in the Amazon. I was like, death by snoo snoo. Like, that's like first thing I was like, they're not big girls, but like you get rode enough maybe. Like
All right, so now we're at 29 girls through 11 movies. So we're still not quite at 3 a movie, but we're close.
29
Keep
girls.
at it.
How many different countries? Actually, I wondered about.
Yeah.
I mean, our number will get ruined when we reach Daniel Craig, but anyway, so that'll move us into Bond girl territory. So that will be Goodhead.
That. Holly Goodhead.
So just a reminder, we have Solitaire at 1, Domino at 2, then Honey Rider, Triple X, Good Night, Romanova, Tiffany Case, Pussy Galore, Kissy, and Tracy pulling it up at the end. And Barry, where do you want to put Goodhead?
Given this list, which is not my list,
You bring that up every episode,
well, I
Barry.
must.
not my present.
I'd put her right behind the lovely Tiffany Case on this list.
So before Pussy Galore.
Correct.
All right.
I can. I was gonna put her above Tiffany Case.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Oh, I was gonna put her below Pussy Galore.
Oh,
Yeah, I just didn't feel that. Like
I liked her better than Pussy Galore.
No.
Pussy had more character.
she was
about her.
she was mature, but she was still sexy, and I liked her. You know,
I'm not trying to be too graphic here, but Goodhead.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah,
like,
good-
we
no,
talk
like-
about banging in space.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Where
That's
everything
true.
goes.
But like Goodhead had no qualities. She was flat chested. She had no ass. Like there's nothing going on there.
I thought she was
She
pretty
gave
in the
good head
face.
apparently.
Pretty.
She had a pretty face.
Yeah,
Shem, there's
you're a
good
missionary.
head.
You got to look at her.
There's the name of
You don't
Goodhead.
have to, but I mean, you
Obviously,
should.
that name meant something.
That's true.
But is that enough? Frank.
So
I'll say
I put
okay.
her-
I'll put her between
Well, I
Pussy
guess that-
Galore and Kissy. I'm okay with
Well,
that.
okay. So you're even lower than me. All right.
Yeah, I'm okay with.
So you put her where I put her.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Ray,
'Cause
what are you
I do
thinking?
think I
You haven't cheaped up yet and all that. Like
she just doesn't stack up to any of the other ones above Pussy Galore. I just doesn't to me not at all.
No.
between
right.
pussy and head. Like,
Yeah. What do you choose?
She's better looking than her.
As much as I like some good head, I'm gonna have to put her last.
Last.
Oh, behind Tracy. All
Yeah.
right. All right. So we have a 11, 2 9s, and I'm sorry, where? And then where did Barry and Tom put her?
I would put her at 8, right behind Tiffany Case.
I liked her better than Tiffany Case.
So you went.
So
6 and
you went
8.
7.
Oh,
So
7.
7, 8, 2 9s, and an 11.
So now the question is, where's the fair place to put her based on that?
At the end,
Oh wow.
maybe above Tracy. Put her at 9.
I think it would be unfair to put her dead last, since only one of us voted her dead last.
Okay.
You know,
I'm okay with 8 or 9.
that's I agree with Justin.
So
So Tom, your thoughts, I guess.
I'll drop to 9.
All right. So we're
Okay.
going with 9.
All
All right.
So she's taking over Kissy's spot, and Kissy's moving on down too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fair enough.
There were so many hotter girls, and like Kissy was just outdone by. I mean, she was useful and super competent and everything, but
The
The
other
other
girl-
Yeah.
the other girl looked better than
yeah,
us.
that's what I mean.
one
Like
that
there
got
was,
killed, yeah.
yeah, it's like man, as far as like the Bond girls go, like yeah, Kissy got overshadowed just because of beauty. Like that's
And the other girl was more effective
Mhm.
yeah.
as an ace. Like she saved Bond a couple times.
Well, Kissy saved him too.
She just
She
seemed
did
more,
go back
she
and get
seemed a
help.
little more capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She swam across a
She did. She went,
big
okay,
ass
I'll give her that.
body of water
Yeah,
and avoided gunshots.
and that poison gas. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll move us into the movie itself. Patrick, where are you putting Moonraker?
All right, this is another one that I am going to watch this again at some point, not super soon, but at some point, and I think it's going to move up on my list oddly. But for now, it feels almost too low, but it's the appropriate place. I'm putting it between Golden Gun and Diamonds. Again, based on this list, which is not my list.
Disclaimer, folks.
Yes.
We are a team here, Barry. Quit singling yourself out. There's no I in team.
Well,
There's a me.
even so.
Justin, where do you put it?
Between Diamonds and On Her Majesty's Secret
That's where I'm putting it. Ray?
Dead last.
Wow.
And also below Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
All right.
Much like Star Wars, I thought.
Yeah, I
you-
was gonna say, was it because of the comedy or what? What killed it for you, Ray?
Is it a space movie? Is it a slasher movie? Is it a spy movie?
Is it a
we
comedy?
Don't fucking know. We don't know. We're just throw it all together, spin it around, and see what we got.
So really,
I like that, Ray. That was very intelligently said. I like that.
really just an undefined piece.
Exactly.
Of okay.
And I was like, I don't know what the
It's
fuck
like
I'm watching, really.
About
It's a-
nothing.
it's
We
a-
don't know what
So, Tom, we're back to you, bud.
Unsuccessful.
Oh
Unsuccessful.
yeah, well it's I don't know. Ray kind of just
We have an 11, 2 10s, and a 8. Is that right, Barry? 8?
I think I would make it 9.
9. So a
because it would be
9,
right after Golden.
9, 2 10s, and an 11. Okay.
I think I'm gonna actually agree with Ray on this one because like I said, it is undefined. There's weird slapstick comedy that doesn't land. There's a dual character arc, which I don't think we see that character ever again.
No, not
So-
to the video game.
Jaws.
No.
So then it's like you did all this just for a moot point. Like I said, and really he was one of the more memorable characters in the movie as well, just because like I said, it's a side by side arc. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think it's just because like I said, it's so undefined, and it seems like there's a lot of pandering after we've talked our way through it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. This is what I'm thinking here.
Okay.
What is worse? The plot being a mess, which I think is essentially what you two were saying.
Mhm.
Or what we said about Her Majesty's Secret Service was it wasn't even a Bond movie.
But
So
at
which
least-
one's-
Well, I
But at
feel you
least
say-
that one was more of a spy thriller.
I feel you could say the same thing about this. It's so undefined. Am I watching a Bond movie or am I watching a love story with Jaws?
Well, you might be right, but Roger Moore is still Bond in this movie.
He's still Bond and everything.
Yeah.
But Jaws is still Jaws in this movie
Here's-
from the last one, and he gets as much airtime as Bond almost.
Here's the question to, in my opinion, settle this: is 2 months from now, you're spending the weekend at home. Which one are you going to watch? Secret Service or Moonraker? I know which one I'm going to watch.
I think I would watch Moonraker first.
Probably Moonraker.
I think
I
I
had
go
to
back
choose
to
between the
Majesty,
two.
really.
You'd go back to Majesty?
Yeah.
All right.
I do plan on watching it again at some point, but it'll be a while.
I mean, I'm gonna watch all the Bond movies with my boys at some point.
Yeah.
Like I will watch all of the Bond movies again, but both of these movies are gonna be ones I don't seek out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's that. I mean, if I'm flipping through the stations and Goldfinger or Thunderball or something's on, I stop and I watch. I'm not doing that with either one of these.
I think Moonraker was a good time. If you can say nothing else about it, it's a pretty good time.
So if you were saying 9, would you be okay with 10? It's not dead last.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give that, absolutely.
10.
So can you? So
Would you be okay?
he came down to 10. Are you guys willing to come up to 10?
Tom, what do you feel? You want to go 10? That way we're not.
I mean, not necessarily, but if 3-2, I'm outvoted. Like,
Would you watch Majesties? Again, let's say it's a few months from now,
I would
and
hate-
you
I would-
got
I-
both
I-
of these movies. Which one are you
would-
watching?
I hate to say it, but yeah, I would hate watch it.
You would hate,
I would. I would. I would.
you would
Because
hate watch Moonraker?
no Majesty. Like
Well, I don't know. That counts.
Yeah, I don't know either. I guess here's what I'm saying.
Despise
Watching
it
it.
so much.
We're debating between characters and plot, I feel like. Because Jaws is a great character, and Bond is still Bond in this movie.
Roger Moore's great in this movie.
I mean, I feel like Roger Moore is a good Bond.
I think that's where you messed up already. Like, you used the word great. You're speaking in
he's great.
hyperbole. Like, just like,
What do you want me to read this quote that I never said?
Sure.
To conclude my watching so far of Roger Moore. I want to say this. After watching this movie, I went to see what movie was next, and I was scrolling through, and then out of nowhere, I was like, I don't know how much more Roger Moore I can take. Just something about him just doesn't really hit it for me.
Wow.
I get it.
I can't get there either. I'm kind of in between. I can't get where I can't stand. I can't stand.
And I hate to
Roger
say that
Moore.
because
But I also don't think he was great.
right.
You
And
know?
I hate to say
Most
that
of it
right
was
now
of
because
the writing of the movies. It wasn't because of Roger Moore. He's a great
Right.
actor. I think he's
I
really
think that
good.
speaks to it though. Because if
It's
you're
just he has
neither like
terrible
hot or
writing
cold, I'm gonna spit
around
you
these
out.
movies.
Like it's like
Yeah, but he's a better Bond than Lazenby.
Yeah, he's.
I
better
mean
than
maybe that's
Lazenby.
true, but
but at least there's some brutality in there I can appreciate.
yeah.
If he had better writing, and
Like it's
better
not
fight
kiddie.
choreography,
Like it's one of those
he
things
would be-
where like
we
I get
wouldn't
a
have this conversation.
I get
probably.
like a guy getting chopped up in a snowblower or whatever it was and everything.
Yeah, that
Like,
did happen.
I get brutality in that one at least. Like I get childish pandering to the masses in this one.
I feel like 70s
true.
just killed Roger Moore. I think the 70s era
All
just
right. I'll do it. I'm coming to them. I'll go 11.
Okay.
I'll come down to 11.
yes.
I only had it because Her Majesty's Secret Service isn't a Bond movie. It's just a spy movie. And Moonraker is still a Bond movie because Roger Moore to me is he's still a decent Bond.
Like I said, I'm not
Lazenby was never a decent Bond.
I agree with that statement. I agree with everything you just said.
But I mean, 11 is you can put it 11. I'm cool.
Yeah,
with
it
that.
doesn't hurt my feelings, but I don't believe for a second you guys are going to watch Majesty's Secret Service over Moonraker any fucking day of the week.
No, I won't. But I
No, not
understand.
you.
what you guys-
These fuckers.
No, I would. Yeah, I'd definitely choose.
I mean, Tom will hate
Moonraker.
watch it.
I was gonna say I'm a
Hate watch
very
it.
spiteful person, Barry. I think you're underestimating that about me.
He'll hate watch it, and then he'll watch Diamonds right after. And
Oh, I'm gonna find where these little bastards are.
All right, well, I accept the outcome.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
disagree, but I accept.
Let me just say this
That
though.
is the story of your life.
It is.
I will watch either one of those two movies before I watch The Rise of Skywalker ever again. And I'm the biggest Star Wars fan probably in this fucking room.
We can all agree on that.
Oh my god.
Yes, I have no interest in the
I
new
love
Star Wars
I love
shit.
Star Wars. I never liked those.
Oh, the
those
sequel to it.
trilogy.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Something
we go
else all
11.
agree on.
It sounds like
Yeah.
you guys all.
Yeah, 11's cool.
You guys
Okay.
buried Moonraker. Shit, get a
You had him
shovel.
at 9. You had him at 9. It wasn't like you had him high.
To the moon, Barry. To the moon.
I had him over Diamonds.
Yeah, so 9.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not burying it.
All right. Well, that puts Moonraker at the end of the list.
Yeah,
So
we're leaving with some hard feelings, I think, on this one. But
I'm okay with it.
it doesn't matter. They're two of the worst Bond movies of all time. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I
you
can
know
agree
they're
with
not.
that. So whether it's 10 or 11,
So
I
use
mean,
your
they're
turd
gonna both
sandwich.
move down. They'll
Like,
essentially probably be 25 and 26.
No, I think the next movie will be another solid, good Bond movie. I like For Your Eyes Only,
I do like that too. What's the other one?
and then
Octopussy.
Octopussy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
I
for
just like it
Mayday to
because of the
show
name.
up.
I
As
don't
a kid,
remember
the
if it was
name
a good
sold the movie to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I giggled. I was a little kid
Yeah.
giggling. Octopussy.
Yeah.
Like, Mom,
Yeah.
what are you watching? Octopussy. What? No.
you heard it. You just said the word pussy.
You
really
heard
you got
what
the
I said.
Snomax on again.
like,
Call it Octopussy.
Octopussy. Like, just, why are you enunciating it like that? Like,
Because it's called Octopussy.
All right. This episode's been weird. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this Moonraker episode. And like previously mentioned, we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our For Your Eyes Only episode, another Roger Moore. And thanks for listening to Blockbuster Bums.
Go watch Octopussy.